What happens when a calm sky turns deadly? On September 18, 2025, Oak Glen, California, found out. Fueled by Tropical Storm Mario, rain dumped over 4 inches in Running Springs. While just half an inch in Oak Glen triggered massive mudslides on fire-scarred slopes. Homes vanished, cars were swallowed, and tragedy struck in Barstow. In this video, we uncover the destruction, the rescues, and the haunting lessons nature left behind. The sky above Southern California on Thursday, September 18, 2025, looked deceptively calm. Then the remnants of Tropical Storm Mario drifted into San Bernardino County, carrying more water than many expected. Thunderstorms built quickly, and the rain came down in sheets, not the gentle soak locals had seen, but a furious, lashing deluge. In places like Running Springs, gauges recorded as much as 4.41 inches of rain in a single event. In Oak Glen, rainfall totaled about 0.54 inches, but the slope and terrain did more than amplify water. They transformed it into raw power. Because the land was already scarred by the 2020 El Dorado fire, burn zones saturated fast. Vegetation that could once grip the soil was gone. The forest floor, blackened and brittle, offered almost no resistance. Loose ash, scorched earth, destabilized slopes, all waiting. Then came the rain. What followed was debris flow, the earth's pent-up grief unleashed. When mud becomes a machine, it moves with intent. Witnesses near the Oak Glen Steakhouse and Saloon say they saw a wall of muddy water hurtling into the parking lot, trees, mailboxes, and debris flying in the front. One driver scrambled to save a truck, reversing fiercely, only to have the truck swallowed by mud minutes later. The parking lot edge vanished under the surge. Elsewhere, bridges, roads, yards, everything on ground level was reduced to chaos. Mud piled nearly 10 feet deep under some deposit sites. Vehicles were stuck, submerged, or swept off their tracks. Homes were impacted. Some were red-tagged as uninhabitable. Entire driveways and front yards were smothered. In Oak Glen, Birch Creek overflowed. In Forest Falls and Potato Canyon, debris buried roads and homes. And then the human cost. 10 people were trapped in 6 or 7 vehicles on State Route 38 near Jenks Lake, where debris had closed both directions. Fire and rescue teams scrambled through mud and traffic to free them. In Barstow, tragedy struck. A 2-year-old boy, Xavier Padilla Aguilera, rode with his father when floodwaters swept their car off the road. The father survived. The child did not. His body was found the next day in a flood channel. Yet even amid devastation, there was defiance. Communities sheltered in place in Oak Glen and nearby areas. Residents dug out cars, cleared driveways. Workers with loaders and front-end equipment fought to reopen roads. Video footage, shot by locals, showed neighbors helping each other, sharing warnings, mapping impassable paths on social media so rescue crews could navigate fast. In fact, CAL FIRE stated no injuries had been widely reported in Oak Glen, though officials warned the damage assessment was just beginning. Here's what we know for certain. The storm's fury was fueled by moisture from Tropical Storm Mario, turning rainfall into a destructive force across Southern California. Some areas, like Running Springs, were drenched with up to 4.41 inches of rain, while Oak Glen saw less, but even that was enough to unleash chaos. The land was already fragile from the 2020 El Dorado fire, leaving slopes unstable and soil loose, perfect conditions for disaster. Roads became impassable, with State Route 38 and Highway 38 shut down, while Cedar Falls Road and paths near Forest Falls were buried under debris. Homes suffered severe damage, some declared unsafe, while power lines snapped, forcing residents into shelters or evacuation. What began as a storm quickly evolved into a chain reaction of destruction, illustrating the vulnerability of fire-scarred terrain when nature strikes again. What's next? Cleanup is underway, but this won't be quick. Heavy equipment will need to haul away debris, stabilize hillsides, restore roads and utilities. Surveys and engineers will study how the deluge traced paths through the land. Why one house was spared, another destroyed. Health and environmental teams will test the waters and soil for contamination from displaced propane tanks, fuels, or other hazardous materials. Officials are already calling for caution. Further rain could trigger additional slides, especially in burned-over zones. This was a flood of forces: rain, fire scars, gravity, loss, and fear. Oak Glen and its neighbors are waking up to a new map of what's possible and what's possible again. They face tough questions. Where is it safe to build? How to issue warnings that people believe before it's too late? When the terrain is fragile and storms unpredictable, survival depends not just on geography, but on readiness, on community, on infrastructure, on how quickly people can move when water turns land into river, and earth into avalanche. Floods can erase entire communities in minutes. If this storm hit your town, what would you do first? Run, rescue, or rebuild? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more unfiltered disaster coverage, and never forget, preparation is survival. Stay safe, stay ready, and I'll see you on Mom Nature TV.